The markets have been crashing. We've got Bitcoin back below $100,000 right here. And of course, traditional finance also following. The S&P 500 hasn't quite seen it yet because it hasn't started trading, but the NASDAQ futures have, and they've dumped pretty sharply, actually. You can see just how dramatic this is. And obviously, all of these drops that we're seeing right now across crypto and across traditional finance are primarily actually because of DeepSeek. DeepSeek is the Chinese AI, OpenAI competitor. They've basically released a ChatGPT competitor using, supposedly, we don't know if this is true, but supposedly way less compute, way less money invested, a lot less time, and they've basically made a product that's about as good as ChatGPT. So why is that affecting us? Obviously, I know some people are going to be asking that question. The main reason that we're seeing this drop and the reason that that's affecting crypto, and we're going to be analyzing what this means for crypto, is because it essentially means that there's a shitload of hype in United States companies, and a lot of investment going into those companies. But clearly that hype and investment is misplaced if China can come out with a much, much cheaper, just as effective product. Okay, so it's basically just another typical example of, competitors leapfrogging ahead and then shaking up the entire industry. And that sent markets tumbling. So, you and I, we've been here hopefully for a little bit now. Those of you that are subscribed to the channel, you know that we take very realistic approaches in these markets because we're here for the long term. We want to make a lot of money. We understand very well that when we get dips in markets, especially inside of uptrends, those are great buying opportunities. And the other thing that I understand very well, and that I hope you can kind of see eye to eye with me on at least a little bit, is a lot of the time when we get dumps, the dumps are for quite superficial reasons, okay? And in this case, it's basically, holy shit, we shouldn't have been investing so much. We shouldn't have been investing so much in U.S. tech companies because look at how good China is doing. So let's pull our money out, right? Like right now, that's kind of what's going on. And so it's not like it's bad, right? And it could get much worse. It could get much worse, but we've already seen DeepSeek, so it might not. But what it does tell us, of course, is that speculation might dry up a little bit in United States tech for a little bit, right? But it doesn't mean that any of these things are going away. It doesn't mean that any of these companies are dying, and it doesn't mean that the U.S. is screwed, right? And I think that's really important to kind of keep our heads, level and on our shoulders, because as we come to terms with certainties like that, we can treat them as certainties now, just for the sake of conversation. Obviously nothing's certain, but as we come to term with these, we can start making decisions based off them, right? So in other words, if a country makes a really nasty piece of legislation about Bitcoin that bans it or whatever, you and I both understand that that's not going to be enough to kill Bitcoin off, right? It might result in Bitcoin dropping a little bit, but Bitcoin's not dying, and Bitcoin's probably going to keep on going back up. And I think that it's the same thing for stocks. I think it's the same thing for tech and crypto right now. And so the fact that we're actually getting this kind of response to DeepSeek, to me, I think it's temporary. And that's what we're going to be viewing this with for the rest of the video, right? So if you disagree with me, then good. Continue watching if you like or not. And if you do agree with me, then good. Continue watching. Either way, smash up those likes as you are coming in and double check that you are subscribed. And of course, while you guys are down there, you're going to have some huge bonuses. When you start trading using Bybit or Blowfin, linked in the description below, they're going to give you a ton of free cash that you can trade with on top of whatever you deposit. And any profits that you generate are going to be yours to keep. So the way to get these bonuses is literally just use the link and start trading. That's it. And then based on that, they are going to give you more free money, more rewards, and you can throw them back into the market and withdraw any profits you make. Only check it out if you're not from a restricted region, okay? Only if your country's local laws and regulations do not prohibit access to these platforms. But bringing it back to crypto here, bringing it back to Bitcoin, now that we've got all of that context in mind, Bitcoin has fallen back down to $99,000. It's put its low in at about 97.8 today, which is fine, and it's now bouncing back up already. So I don't know if this bounce is going to stick. This is obviously a bit of a nasty drop compared to some of our recent back tests. It's also obviously more instant. It's a little bit sharper. And the beautiful thing, of course, is that we know exactly why it happened, which is purely just because of that Chinese tech release, right? So especially when we get events like this where, one piece of news kind of sends the market tumbling, it's kind of done, right? The markets, and more importantly, the manipulators, can take it a step forward. Obviously these news websites, they've always got, 1,000 bearish articles for crypto locked and loaded, ready to go, ready to kind of send out. You know, and then if they are going to be doing that, you know, around now, obviously now is a great time to kind of launch a fear campaign and drive crypto a little bit lower. You know, if it did happen, obviously it's really, really straightforward, guys. The bottom of the range right here sits at about kind of 90 to 92. This would be a phenomenal support zone for Bitcoin if it did end up falling back down here. Would it find support? Probably, you know, at least we would do something like this, I would imagine. Even if we are going to drop down, it's probably going to look something a little bit like that. You know, at that point, is it possible that we have a kind of deep liquidity grab and then come back up as well? Yes, I think that's also possible. But in either case, I don't think we're tumbling, you know, back down to 80 or 70 even. You know, at least now. And I think that, you know, if it does fall down here, you know, whether this, you know, fake out happens or not, you know, a bounce is obviously going to be in order, and then we can kind of evaluate it. Maybe we just continue going sideways for another 8 to 9 business months or something, and it's just gonna be absolutely horrific. I don't know, I can't see the future, but that could be a possibility. And then, you know, just in terms of upside, I mean, you know, we're still bouncing off this, you know, this level. We're still finding support here. You know, it's not over until it's over. A lot of people get, you know, extremely bearish at, you know, basically the lows, and then extremely bullish at the highs, you know, and obviously we want to reel that in a little bit, and we just want to make sure that we're kind of viewing these markets with a more level-headed, you know, realistic perspective here. You know, yes, we did get a double top. That's definitely not great. And you know, yes, we are testing support, but like, we're also at $100,000 fucking dollars, and we're still in an uptrend, and we haven't broken the uptrend at all. You know, we're looking pretty good. Bitcoin's dominance is creeping up. Bitcoin's dominance is getting close to sweeping some of those highs, and we are seeing pain in the altcoin market accordingly. Ethereum's just barely hanging on by a thread, but it's painting a nasty, nasty bear flag right now. You know, where if we kind of draw this, it's really starting to look something a little bit like this right now, which could be indicative of another leg down. That's kind of exactly what it did back here, and then, you know, it did end up popping up, but ended up coming back down anyway. Ethereum's done this a lot. It's really typical. You know, at first you get a big bounce, you come back down, and then you can't even bounce anymore and you die. And that's basically, you know, that's just the that's been the life cycle of this Ethereum Bitcoin chart, to be honest. You know, if it drops again, it's going to be potentially seeing 2.5 BTC, 0.25 BTC per token, which is very low. So you know, we'll have to see how that goes. Obviously, again, that's going to be, you know, completely dependent on Bitcoin's dominance, and, you know, if Bitcoin's dominance does go up. You and I understand now, you know, you've been watching this channel for a while, that if Bitcoin's price goes up, its dominance goes up, but if Bitcoin's price tanks, if it drops lower aggressively, then Bitcoin's dominance still goes up. So you know, there's really no winning. It's a lose situation being in altcoins. Obviously there's a lot of money in it in isolated situations. Very few people actually made money in the altcoin market. By the way, I was going to make a video on this, but there wasn't much kind of like reception on it. It didn't seem like people were particularly interested, but I wanted to talk about the fact that really only a very, very small number of people in this market have actually made money, but those that have made a shitload of money, you know, and then everybody else has lost a lot of money in this market, which makes it a very unique market cycle, because we've got, you know, quite high bull market prices, but still just bear market participants, and everybody's unhappy about it. So that's interesting. That actually leads to a lot of implications, and that can kind of guide how we view the markets a little bit. That's more of a standalone video. If you want to see it, drop a comment that just says Euphoria in the comment section, just so I know that, you know, you've watched this far and you actually want to kind of see that. But yeah, it's like I said, I mean, you know, Bitcoin's dominance, it goes up, right? No matter what, you know, Bitcoin's dominance does tend to just kind of trend up. We're continuing to do that. I've been 100% correct about all of my Bitcoin analysis. Bitcoin dominance analysis, and most of my Bitcoin analysis too, for a very, very long time. You know, since basically this low here on Bitcoin's dominance, I was calling for 60%, and as we got closer, I've started to say, you know, 70 might be on the cards as well. It certainly looks like we're getting ready to smash that high. Obviously, you know, it's been a little bit of time. Altcoin holders really had quite a lot of confidence when this drop happened here, but it's like I was telling you, you know, we actually did this we did this right back here, and we went sideways for a little bit, and we still swept the high. You know, so that could also be what Bitcoin's about to do. I don't know, it could be any number of things, but, you know, just looking at the way it's going so far, I certainly think that it's, you know, trying to reclaim that high. Whether it will or not is a different conversation, but it certainly looks like that might be the case. And I think that if Bitcoin does drop down to 90K, it's probably going to take its dominance up quite a bit. So obviously, yeah, for Ethereum, it's dropping quite hard. It's sitting at 3,100 right now, which is definitely not like, the most comfortable area for it to be. Ethereum against Bitcoin, obviously not looking particularly great. Trump coin, I mentioned a phenomenal buy zone at the $30 level, roughly. And there was a nice bounce there, but and that's kind of the nature of these markets. If you're going to buy them, and by the way, we're on the 5-minute time frame, right? Everything moves so quickly. If you're going to buy, I mean, that was a 10% move. Really not that impressive at all. Safe to say that I just got this one wrong. It ended up back testing this zone, and it's now finding a little bit of resistance there. I don't think it's necessarily like the biggest, most concerning thing. I'm not like heartbroken over the fact that Trump has lost this level. I think that Trump is still basically in the same ballpark area as long as it kind of stays above, basically $20. It's still kind of in the same area, and it's the same as Bitcoin, right? Like if this thing starts moving up, basically from anywhere, here, if it starts moving up, the next stop is $30, and above that, it's basically straight up to 40. So. When you visualize these markets in terms of levels as opposed to price moves, number one, it becomes a lot less scary, and number two, it just starts becoming a lot easier to digest, in terms of understanding. Like, look, the market doesn't care about how you feel, right? The market's just going to snap to its important levels typically. I mean, it might not happen, but typically this is how it goes. It just snaps to important levels. So, like, it doesn't matter if this important level is literally a 2x away or a, whatever away. The market is just going to kind of move there. And that's because they're such small markets. They're meme coin markets. They're illiquid. This is obviously more liquid than others, but they're still very, very small. And that just allows them to move in very aggressive ways. And, Trump's not going anywhere, right? It's the same kind of thing that I mentioned earlier on in the videos. If you think that, this thing is not, going to go anywhere, then actually this is really, really interesting. So Trump coin looking interesting for that from that perspective. Solana, look at this. What a beautiful drop here on Solana. It swept all of its lows from late January here, a few days ago actually, and it's kind of coming back down to some more significant support at about 210. It's just floating around some levels right now. Against Bitcoin, Solana's dropped a little bit as well, which is interesting for those of you who are interested in kind of rotating from Bitcoin into Solana, which I know that a lot of people are going to be interested in doing at this point because Solana is getting a little bit lower against Bitcoin. So that's definitely interesting. Binance coin against Bitcoin. Wow, oh man, that's okay. I didn't open this chart for a while. I look at this, just oh man, yeah. I had that drawn for a while, and that was a beautiful long trade on Binance. That would have been what is it up by? It's not up by much right now, is it? Yeah, it's I don't know why I'm making such a big deal out of it. It's only a 1.4% move, but Binance coin ended up falling down to 650, which was an area of support. It was a previous area of resistance. I had a long lined up there, and it just perfectly. Anyway. It's a really good support level. So, I mean, it's kind of like Bitcoin's 100K level. If Bitcoin kind of bounces off here, then, Binance coin has a really big run here as well. So that's interesting. It could be good. It could be good. I'm gonna go now. I'm not gonna look at that. I just thought it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating when you meticulously plan something and then, I mean, that was like over a month ago, right? So I just probably just completely forgot to order. To set the orders or whatever. I don't know, but. Maybe it wasn't a month ago, but I don't want to know. I don't want to know at this point. XRP has dropped by a little bit, but again, it's just backtesting all, resistance to support. All the charts are broadly the same, especially the ones that are a little bit healthier right now. Not a whole lot to say. We just kind of have to wait until, Bitcoin and traditional finance sorts itself out. Before that happens, obviously things could get taken a little bit lower. And if that does happen, Bitcoin's dominance could shoot up and altcoins could get really, really rugged pretty hard. But, as it stands right now, we're still basically at the same support zone. I understand that we're slightly below it, but, I don't get my, I don't get myself twisted and in not service stuff like that. I'm not too fussed, if it's only slightly below the support level. It is holding on so far. It is looking okay. If it sweeps the highs, then, it's just ready, right? I mean, it was already kind of there. And, if it does it again on a kind of third, short to midterm attack, then that's going to be very bullish, right? So, and obviously Bitcoin's already consolidated for quite some time. So, I mean, 75 days, right? We're definitely due for a breakout. We can stay due for a breakout for another 6 months, right? So, that doesn't mean we have to move, but, it does certainly mean that, I would be taking things seriously as we kind of, approach the highs. And you know what? If we approach the lows, it's like I said, worst case scenario, it loses 90K and then we just kind of fall down to 70. 70 is a really good level of support. It remains untested. It's the previous all-time high. I mean, put it this way. If Bitcoin comes back down to backtest 70K now, it'll probably never do it again, right? Like, that's the kind of thing that you only do once. We did it with 20K, but not the nice way, right? You guys remember what happened back then, and this is really important. Again, this is what you come to this YouTube channel for, right? Everyone's like, "Oh my god, your videos are too long," and it's like, "All right, go fuck yourself." Then, like, I'm not talking to you. Like, if you don't have time for the money that you've invested in these markets to watch the best analysis on the internet, then that's you. Like, go for it, bro. What else can I say to you? But we saw this with the and this is the thing, is like, I can't say this if I'm worried about, like, these ADHD fucking viewers who can't pay attention for more than 10 minutes. Like, I don't care, bro. Like, deal with it yourself. I'm talking to people who actually want the most information they can, the most relevant information they can absorb to make guided, proper financial decisions, like proper decisions for themselves. I'm talking to those people, not to, not to, I don't know, idiots who get upset at the video being over. It doesn't make sense. I mean, it's not like I'm repeating stuff. Everything I'm saying is stuff I haven't said so far in this video. It's really important. And what we can see here is, we had that all-time high at 20K. When we broke it, we didn't come back down for any kind of back test, like, at all. And eventually we did, right? I mean, we almost always do come back down. And, in this case, it took us 540 days and it happened inside of a bear market. I mean, you would rather that it looks something a little bit like this, right? And then you continue going up because you're done. But it didn't, right? And that's for a few reasons. I think one of the reasons, obviously, is the market is just so excited, right? Like, when you break out above an all-time high and then you come back down, to capture a bit of support, you're also saying this rally doesn't seem completely substantiated. You're also saying that this rally, might be a bit of a fake out or something. There's a little bit of, like, concern, a little bit of doubt that's going to be casted on that rally if the market does come back for a pullback. So, that makes sense. But 80 days is a very acceptable time frame for me. 90 days to see a market kind of come back down to an old area, an all-time high. If it does happen, great. Like I said, I don't know. And I honestly don't think it is going to happen. I hope it happens, but I don't know. It's really hard to say, and I don't think it will. But if it did, I mean, probably just straight blast off from there. And then, every resistance level, what little we have up ahead, I really don't think that they'd be a problem for Bitcoin at all. So it'd be a pretty good point in the market, I would say. But there you go. Really, really interesting stuff in this market right now. Very, very heated market. We've got so much going on. We've got meme coins as well, which I'm going to be doing a lot more of on this channel. So if you are excited for that, then definitely double check that you're subscribed to this YouTube channel. Obviously, you've got a ton of beautiful offers linked in the description. Supports the brand out. You can go ahead and check them out with the links in the description. All you've got to do is start trading using these links to get your bonuses. So thank you to the sponsors. And obviously, you do have to be from an unrestricted region. If you're from a restricted region, you won't be able to access these products. And your laws will also prevent you from doing that. So check them out. Make sure you're a good law-abiding citizen. There we go. Smash up those likes, subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff, and I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.